Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Amit Harari, and just before we start, I'd like to invite you to check out our new and improved website, where you can find all of our latest content and events from the heart of the State of Israel. So please check it out and subscribe to ILTV.tv. And now, coming up in today's newscast, Prime Minister Designate Benjamin Netanyahu putting the coalition puzzle together, handing out the remaining government positions. But will all Likud members be satisfied? Meanwhile, Israel is breaking a record of 23 years in Aliyah numbers, with most newcomers coming from a surprising country. And is it a bird? Is it an airplane? Israeli startup working hard to make a breakthrough in flying vehicles. We open with a continuing saga of coalition building. Prime Minister Designate Benjamin Netanyahu already announcing last week that his coalition is ready, but he's now facing the tough puzzle of satisfying his Likud party demands. ILTV's Steve Leibovitz reports.
It's a puzzle with more pieces than empty spots to fill. In the final days before presenting his government, Prime Minister Designate Netanyahu now faces the tough job of handing out key cabinet portfolios to senior Likud members expecting top posts. The puzzle is more difficult to solve because many of the top posts have already been given to his far-right and religious coalition partners. At least 10 senior Likud members are vying for the top remaining ministries that include Foreign Ministry, Justice, Transportation, and Education. Former Transport Minister Miri Regev is expected to get one of these top posts and would become one of the few women in the government and perhaps the only one in a senior post. Yoav Gallant is expected to get defense. Former Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat and longtime Minister Israel Katz are leading candidates to receive top posts. In a possible coalition complication, a faction within the ultra-Orthodox United Torah Judaism demanded that the negotiations with Likud be reopened because it disagreed with some details of the Likud agreement with the party's second faction, Agudat Yisrael. In particular, they oppose Agudat Yisrael leader Yitzhak Goldknopf serving in the security cabinet. The coalition agreements need to be finalized and submitted 24 hours before the swearing-in ceremony, which was required to happen by January 2nd, but could come later this week. Tomorrow, new Knesset Speaker Yariv Levin will present the new coalition in the Knesset.
Now here with us to discuss all the latest updates in the forming coalition and more is former MK and founder and CEO of Yad La'olim, Rabbi Dov Lipman. Good to have you with us again.
Good to be with you, Amit.
So there are not very many posts left for the Likud, which is the biggest party and leader of the coalition. There is some numbling. Are they right to be upset?
There's no doubt that as you walk around the Knesset, here I am right now, there are sour faces on many of the Likud MKs who expected to have more prominent positions that are left for them. Netanyahu's challenge right now and the dance that he's going to have to do is to try to find enough positions for these prominent senior MKs to make sure that they're satisfied and won't cause him problems throughout the term of this government and Knesset. It's not going to be a simple challenge and issue for him to solve, but if there's anyone who can do it, it's certainly Netanyahu. And let's also remember, these are members who are up for primaries in the future. They don't want to be seen as in any way hurting the Likud. So somehow or another, things tend to work out.
We have Miri Regev being the top woman in the Likud. Nir Barkat is considered to be the future of the party. And Yoav Gallant is certainly a man of security. What ministries are they likely to get, with it being almost certain Gallant becoming the new defense minister?
Yeah, it does seem very sure that Yoav Gallant will be defense minister, but remember, even that position is being stripped of some of the powers that it has for other coalition partners. He's the only one that seems to be sure in that place. You mentioned Miri Regev. People are talking about Nir Barkat, who's former mayor of Jerusalem. It's very unclear exactly which positions they will get. I know that they certainly want positions that have more budgets, more powers, more ability for them to move up themselves politically, but it's not so clear right now that they'll be satisfied with what comes in the end. Again, these next few days leading up to Thursday will be the critical days where we find out exactly which portfolios they'll get.
That will be interesting for sure. Rabbi Lippman, you were a Knesset member from Yesh Atid. They're now heading into the opposition. There is now so much negativity towards the government that hasn't even taken office. Don't they deserve a grace period from the opposition?
Well, first of all, just for clarity, at this point, I'm completely apolitical. I'm not a member of any political party, and I'm very happy to be apolitical and be able to just work to help Olim and policies that impact Olim. It's typical in this building for the opposition to come out firing. That's the way it always is. And you always wish that it wouldn't be that way. One of the reasons why I enjoy not being in politics is I don't have to be part of all of the mudslinging back and forth. But that is the role of the opposition in a system like we have, the parliamentary system. It is to attack the government, to find some kind of fissures if they can in the government, to try to find some way to break the government. That is their official role. What I'd like to see the opposition generally being supportive of the government when there are issues that are clearly for the benefit of all of Israel. I certainly would want to see it that way. The one thing that I can tell you, though, is we've managed to bring everyone together on the issue of Aliyah and Olim, and looking forward to a coalition agreement that has lots of good policies and benefits to help the Aliyah process and Olim once they get here. But we have to find those issues where we can't bring them together. They're far and few between.
Well, you are the head of the important organization for new immigrants. How do you think the new government will impact newcomers to the country, to Israel?
We've been meeting with the incoming government from the moment that the election results were announced, and we've been presenting to them some of the challenges and the issues facing a potential Olim in the Aliyah process, and also Olim once they arrive in Israel. For the most part, we have found members of Knesset who are very willing and interested to get involved. The incoming minister, Ophir Sofir, definitely willing to try to make policy changes that will help. And most importantly, there will finally be an Aliyah committee in the Knesset, where all the wonderful organizations that are working to try to help Olim will be able to come and present the issues, and will be able to work together to make changes. I know that you're going to have the next item is about all of the Olim that have come over the past year. It's a remarkable time, and hopefully the government together with the organizations, and certainly we at Yad L'Olim are up for the challenge, will work together to really make the Aliyah experience getting to Israel as smooth as possible, and certainly to help the Olim once they get here. And we do have a listening ear within the government.
Rabbi Dov Lippman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, in security matters, 3 police officers were wounded this weekend in the Israeli Arab town, Kfar Qasem. The assailant lured officers to his home by calling the police emergency hotline. The assailant was shot dead after ramming the officers with his car. ILTV Steve Leibovitz reports.
According to police, the assailant, Naim Badir, falsely alerted them to come to a parking area next to his home because there had been an instance of domestic violence. When police arrived, the assailant pulled out a loaded makeshift automatic rifle and attempted to open fire. After the weapon jammed, Badir fled to the roof of the building, where he tossed Molotov cocktails at a police car. After the incident, police found several more firebombs. Apparently trying to flee the scene, Badir rammed his car into the officers, lightly wounding 3 of them. Officers opened fire and the assailant was killed. Police insist that the incident was a planned terror attack. Video of the incident showed the terrorist opening fire and later getting into his car and speeding toward the police in reverse. Police Commissioner Kobi Shabtai praised the officers for preventing a larger planned attack. The Shabak security services say that the assailant planned the attack for several days. However, the Badir family insists that the incident was not nationalistically motivated. The mayor of Kfar Qasem also rejected the claim of a terror attack and said he would await a full investigation. Most terror attacks are carried out by Palestinian Arabs from the West Bank and Gaza. It's very rare that an attack is initiated by an Israeli Arab. Kfar Qasem has a problem of violence related to organized crime, but not terror.
U.S. Secretary Antony Blinken sent a message to incoming Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu congratulating him for announcing the new coming formation of his government. Referring to the inclusion of the right-wing ministers, Blinken said that the Biden administration would judge Israel by its policies and not by its personalities. He also anticipated disagreements between friends. Blinken congratulated returning Prime Minister Netanyahu while indicating that the U.S. also has interest in promoting a broader approach on Israeli-Palestinian issues.
So first, I want to extend congratulations to Prime Minister Netanyahu on announcing the formation of a new government. The Knesset still has to approve it, as you know, before it can be formally sworn in. But we look forward to working with Israel to advance both the interests and the values that have long been at the heart of our relationship, and also to promoting a broader approach to try to bring equal measures of security, of opportunity, of prosperity, of dignity to Israelis and Palestinians alike.
Asked about right-wing ministers in key positions in the new government, Blinken insisted that the Biden administration would judge Israel government based on policy and not personalities.
Going forward, just as in the past, previous administrations on the Israeli side, on the American side, but previous American administrations have done, we will engage with and judge our partners in Israel on the basis of the policies they pursue, not the personalities that happen to form the government.
Blinken said that going forward, the U.S. is firmly committed to Israeli security, but also admitted that there may be disagreements.
I think we've demonstrated over successive Israeli governments and over successive American administrations, precisely because we have a rock-solid partnership and one that is committed to Israel's security, that we can have very candid conversations when we disagree. That's not going to change either.
With both holidays of lights not being easy on Ukrainians, there's a beautiful sense of hope as Jewish communities in the country showing altruistic care for the needy on Hanukkah.
Millions of Ukrainians affected by the war between Russia and Ukraine having to spend the holiday season with no electricity or heating. Local Jewish communities are extending helping hands to ease the stress and strain for the affected families during Hanukkah. During this Hanukkah, Chabad Jewish community volunteers and organization leaders are working non-stop to prepare hundreds of meals daily for Ukrainians in need, while also frying up thousands of traditional holiday donuts for distribution. The volunteers are also housing locals who are being affected by war on the synagogue grounds, providing generators, supplies, and blankets to those without power, and distributing food at the metro station to anyone in need, regardless of their religion.
When somebody's swimming, he doesn't have time to do other things. We are right now in the mode of helping and with the community and trying to get supplies from all over the world and helping.
Before the war in Ukraine erupted in February of last year, there were 25,000 Jews living in Kharkov. This, with over 15,000 individuals having to flee the region every day due to frequent Russian airstrikes. Ukraine is currently battling dark days of both winter and war. However, Jewish leaders are continuing Hanukkah traditions, saying that although light is absent, holiday symbolism is not.
So when there is darkness, you have to bring light. When people are living a tough time, so your job as a person is to bring light and happiness to the people. So we are doing like Hanukkah, but on the present moment.
2022 has been a banner year for immigration to Israel, and according to the Jewish Agency, over 70,000 people moved to Israel this year, the highest number in over 2 decades. The numbers doubled from 2021 immigration numbers, mostly due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but mostly from the Russian side. More than half of this year's immigrants came from Russia and about 20% from Ukraine. The final year-end numbers will only be available after the new year, but chairman of the executive at the Jewish Agency, Chai Doron Almog, said that the year was a dramatic one with the rescue of thousands of Ukrainian Jews brought to safe harbor in Israel. More than 3/4 of these newcomers are from the war zone, including over 37,000 from Russia, nearly 15,000 from Ukraine, and about 2,000 from Belarus. In addition, some 1,500 people migrated from Ethiopia. Immigration from other countries include 3,500 from North America, over 2,000 from France, nearly 1,000 from Argentina, and several hundreds each from the UK, South Africa, and Brazil. In total, there were migrants to Israel from a total of 85 countries in 2022. On the subject of immigration to Israel, we are pleased to be joined by Aeroplane, President and CEO of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, which played a crucial role in migration of immigrants and refugees to Israel. Hi, Yael, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, over 70,000 migrants to Israel in 2022, with most from Russia and Ukraine. What were some of the challenges?
Well, in 2022, the fellowship brought over 5,000 new immigrants just from Ukraine to Israel, and that's compared to 1,834 that we brought in 2021. So, of course, whenever you double the number of people that you're going to bring to Israel, especially under war conditions, there are lots of challenges. The challenges started when the war began, and all of the immigrants that we brought to Israel were through Moldova, and the airspace in Moldova was closed, the airport was closed, and so we worked with our partners in order to get special humanitarian permission to fly refugee flights from Israel packed with humanitarian aid, 15 tons of blankets and boots and clothing and food for the refugees from Ukraine, from Israel, chartered a flight to Moldova, where all of the airport workers went in just to receive this flight, let off the 15 tons of humanitarian aid, and flew back to Israel with over 140 olim. We did this twice a day.
And how is Israel handling all of this? I mean, is it even ready for such numbers?
Well, it's incredible how the government of Israel has really taken so many measures. First of all, to recognize these refugees as refugees, which means they immediately get more aid than any other set of olim from around the world. Normally, what the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews sees on the ground inside of Ukraine, we've been working there for many years, is that people plan between 6 months to 1 year before their Aliyah, and they take lots of steps in order to learn Hebrew and do seminars and job training. And of course, when the war broke out, these were refugees who left very often the pot on the stove in order to escape with their lives, leaving their husbands behind, their grown children behind. They came to Israel with nothing. And so just recognizing them as refugees, that they could get that extra aid, is a huge step. And the position of the fellowship is that we are here for any additional emergency needs that they have. So we ran summer camps for children where we taught them Hebrew, got them ready to acclimate to school when they were returning after the summer break. Everything that we could do to add to what the government of Israel is already doing, we're here to help.
And are you expecting that 2023 will be another year of mass immigration, or if the war comes to an end, might we see a portion of these refugees actually return to their previous homes?
That's a wonderful question. Actually, the board of director of the fellowship was just in Ukraine 2 weeks ago, and what he said was he saw so many people already returning back to their homes that it's already been almost a year of this fighting, and they want their children to go back to school in the place that they're used to and the language that they're used to. They want to rejoin their husbands and sons who are left behind. And so we're definitely seeing less of an Aliyah from Ukraine, but we're definitely still seeing lots of people make Aliyah, more than in previous years. And so just last Thursday, I actually greeted a flight of over 104 olim, 8 of them lying down, medical cases who came and immediately got medical care in Israel. So we're continuously, the fellowship, of course, with our partners at the Jewish Agency, are every single day bringing olim from Ukraine to Israel. It has slowed down. Will it pick up again? We're prepared for anything.
Yeah, and I understand that you will be traveling to Moldova tomorrow. What are the expectations there?
Well, the winter conditions are brutal. And so the fellowship has been on the ground across the former Soviet Union, especially with winter emergency aid. This year, it's specifically generators, but we're also bringing blankets, gloves, military gear for these elderly and children in order to survive the winter. So we're bringing water as the electricity is out in much of Ukraine. The water system is connected to the electric system. And so there's no running water, there's no heat, you can't warm up any food. And it's something we don't think about often, that when the electricity is down, people who have money can't even go to the store and use their credit card because there's no electricity. And so we're both helping people inside of Moldova who have also experienced lots of power outages, along with those refugees from Ukraine who have made it to Moldova. So I'm going in order to assess the situation, provide aid, and come up with our strategic plan for 2023 to save lives.
That's amazing. And Yael, I have to mention your father, Rabbi Yechiel Eckstein of blessed memory. He did amazing work bringing immigrants to Israel for decades. How is it to follow in the footsteps of such a great man?
Well, for 15 years, I studied his every move. And when he died 3 years ago, it's almost actually 4 years ago, I was put in the position that I felt like he gave me the tools that I needed to continue the life-saving work that he dreamed about, that he built and he brought to fruition. And today, thank God, the fellowship is stronger than ever. We have over 650,000 donors. We raise almost $250 million a year. And last year, in 2022 alone, we helped over 2 million individuals. So I am honored, humbled, and really blessed to be able to continue his mission.
Yeah, Aliyah, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
An Israeli-built aircraft designed to fly commuters on short rides far above the congested streets is making its first crewless flight, bringing what once being thought of as a futuristic science fiction notion closer to reality. An Israeli-made electric vehicle designed to fly commuters on short trips far above the overcrowded roads, making its maiden unmanned flight, a milestone the developer is saying will help it reach the market in the next 2 years. Given the significant advancements in drone technology, the test phase flight may not initially seem unusual, making this yet another airplane with propellers ascending vertically from the ground before accelerating upward in the sky.
This is a major milestone. We're going to open the envelope. We have transitioned today to forward flight, and this is coming close to bringing our dream come true into mass production of the Air 1.
But according to the Israeli startup Air, this one will be able to travel up to 100 kilometers with 2 people aboard, a driver and a passenger. With Air in its international competition believing that this form of travel will inevitably become the norm worldwide. This form of commuting may still feel scary to most of us, and before individuals can expect to fly themselves through cities in little vehicles like these, there are still a number of substantial barriers to overcome, including developing rules and commercializing the technology. The CEO and co-founder Rani Plaut is trying to calm everyone down, saying that their technology is already meeting most regulations and will certainly be safe to operate once it's ready.
The flight training of the Air 1 is a very, very short process. We're enveloping the user basically with software, meaning the aircraft doesn't fly itself, but you operate by asking the aircraft with using the stick of what you want to do, and then the aircraft translates it to maneuvers. So this is basically desires to maneuvers kind of operation. The Air 1 is extremely safe.
So we're ready to start saving, since the CEO is predicting the Air 1 to be available for purchase by the end of 2024 at a starting price of $150,000. Those eager to getting their hands on the technology can pre-order the flying vehicle on the company's website. After 2 years of COVID-related restrictions, Christmas tourism finally returning to Bethlehem with a huge evergreen tree, colorful balloons in the streets, and visit to the Church of the Nativity with a special guest arriving from Jerusalem. Archbishop Pier Battista Pizzaballa, Jerusalem's Latin Patriarch, arriving in Bethlehem, the traditional place of Jesus' birth, on Saturday for leading the annual Christmas celebrations. Pier Battista Pizzaballa greeting worshippers upon his arrival to the town ahead of leading the annual Christmas Eve procession at the Church of Nativity.
The message of Christmas is the message of peace, and we won't keep believing that it is possible to change things, and anyway we'll be vigilant and we'll be very clear in what we have to do and what we have to say in order to preserve the importance of unity and the reconciliation among all.
As Bethlehem is recovering from the coronavirus outbreak, hundreds of tourists flocking to the historic birthplace of Jesus, celebrating the holiday and resulting in fully booked hotels and satisfied shopkeepers. These numbers still not reaching pre-COVID levels, though, with Bethlehem counting 3.5 million visitors in Christmas 2019, but the return of tourists definitely raising spirits in the city. For Christmas Eve festivities, hundreds of people wandering around Manger Square throughout the day, while marching bands playing bagpipes and beating on drums, with foreign tourists strolling the streets and taking photographs with the town's massive Christmas tree in the background. With many people entering stores and restaurants to warm up, the chilly gray skies and the occasional rain showers doing very little to dampen enthusiasm, making everyone hope for an even bigger celebration next Christmas. Let's take a look at the weather forecast. Cloudy skies and rain expected around the country tonight, with lows this evening averaging a chilly 10 degrees Celsius or 50 Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, the forecast calling for more cloudy skies and rain alongside a drop in top temperatures with highs of only 17 degrees Celsius or 63 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's all for today's news. For more updates on Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channel, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and don't forget to check out our new and improved website, ILTV.tv, with all of the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Amita Rari. Be well. Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.